In 2013, Aquatic Wet Line made its debut as an aquarium hobbyist podcast. It was hosted by Aqua Alex Cardinale, an aquarium hobbyist with a passion for tropical fish since the age of 12.
Aquatic Wet Line was very successful because Aqua Alex shared his love and passion for fish keeping like only he could. You could hear the love of fish and passion for caring and educating about the fish in his voice. It attracted new hobbyists and even experienced hobbyists to tune in.
Aquatic Wet Line went on hiatus for a couple of years. Now Aqua Alex has brought it back, this time right here on YouTube. Aqua Alex will host new episodes of Aquatic Wet Line Fish Keeping Podcast, but it will be in video format and you may get to see some of Aqua Alex's personal fish.
Aqua Alex will discuss everything aquarium related from fresh to salt. What aquarium topic is in the aquarium for discussion tonight? Let's find out. Fish keepers, if you enjoy the show, please share the YouTube video URL on your social media. Now here is Aqua Alex.
Hello, tropical fish keepers. Welcome to Life in the Amazon, hosted by me, South American fish keeper and monster fish keeper, Aqua Alex Cardinale. Today, I present to you another fun installment of Life in the Amazon. I'm going to continue creating South American biotopes. Now, on the last episode of Life in the Amazon, we did Peruvian biotopes. But tonight, we are going to do Brazilian biotopes. And we're going to learn about all the different fish species that call Brazil home. Brazil is the largest country of South America, and Brazil is part of the Amazon River, a big, huge part of the Amazon River. A lot of the fish that are kept in the aquarium hobby come from Brazil. So I'm going to have a great time talking about the fish species that live in Brazil, and I'm also going to create some exciting Brazilian biotopes. So on today's edition of Life in the Amazon, I am going to discuss freshwater fish species from Brazil, as well as giving out some information about Brazil. And I'm going to create some awesome Brazilian biotopes. Now, you, the fish keepers, can be a part of today's show. All you need to do is comment in the comment section what you would do for a Brazilian biotope. So in other words, in the comments, I'm challenging you to create your own Brazilian biotopes. So I'm going to go over some of the fish species that live in Brazil. And in the comments, you can create your own Brazilian biotopes, whether you're watching this video live or you're catching the replay of today's video. With that being said, let's go ahead and get this fun show started. And we're going to start by learning about the country Brazil, and then we'll get right into our fish topics for this episode of Life in the Amazon. Now, Brazil is the largest country in both South America and Latin America at 8.5 million square kilometers and with over 214 million people. Brazil is the world's fifth largest country by area and the seventh most populous. Its capital is Brasilia, and its most populous city is Sao Paulo. Bounded by the Atlantic Ocean on the east, Brazil has a coastline of 7,491 kilometers. It borders all other countries and territories in South America except Ecuador and Chile and covers 47.3% of the continent's land area. Its Amazon basin includes a vast tropical forest, home to diverse wildlife, a variety of ecological systems, and extensive natural resources spanning numerous protected habitats. Brazil occupies a large area along the eastern coast of South America and includes much of the continent's interior, sharing land borders with Uruguay to the south, Argentina and Paraguay to the southwest, Bolivia and Peru to the west, Colombia to the northwest, and Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and France. French overseas region of French Guyana to the north. It shares a border with every South American country except Ecuador and Chile. Brazil has a dense and complex system of rivers, one of the world's most extensive, with 8 major draining basins, all of which drain into the Atlantic. Major rivers include the Amazon, which is the world's second largest river and largest in terms of volume of water. The Parana and its major tributary, the Agacucu, which includes the Agazuzu Falls, the Negro, São Francisco, Rio Xingu, Madeira, and Rio Tapajos rivers. Those are all the rivers that are found in Brazil. I apologize about my eyes. For some reason, my allergies are bothering me today. Anyway, the wildlife of Brazil comprises all naturally occurring animals, plants, and fungi in the South American country. Home to 60% of the Amazon rainforest, which accounts for approximately 1/10 of all species in the world, Brazil is considered to have the greatest biodiversity of any country on the planet. It has the most known species of plants, 55,000. It has 3,000 freshwater fish species and over 689 mammals. And that is information on Brazil. Right now, we are going to learn about some of the freshwater fish species that live in Brazil. It's time to talk about our main topic for Life in the Amazon, and that is tropical fish. So all the species that I'm going to mention right now are just some of the species that live in Brazil. Remember, there are 3,000 freshwater fish species alone that live in Brazil. So the species that I'm going to mention are some of the more popular aquarium species and some that are really popular in Brazil. So I'm going to show an image of most of the species that I'm going to talk about, but because StreamYard has a limit to how many images I can upload, I can't show images of all the fish that I'm going to talk about, but you can do a simple Google search to see what the fish looks like. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first fish we're going to talk about that comes from Brazil is known as the marbled headstander. This is a really colorful cheracin. It belongs to the tetra family. I have never personally ever kept a marble headstander, but I have seen them at local fish stores, and I have seen other fish keepers keep them. They look like a leporhinus, but they're a little less aggressive than a leporhinus. And from what I understand, they're a medium growing fish that can grow to be about 6 to 8 inches in length. The next fish that comes from Brazil was also found in Peru. So it lives in Peru and it also lives in Brazil. And it's a species of fish that I currently am growing 3 of right now. It is one of my new favorite South American cichlids, and that is the threadfin acara. Look at the gorgeous colors of this threadfin acara. It's got blue, it's got red, it's got orange, and it's got a nice thread fin. The thread fin acara can grow anywhere from 6 to 9 inches, making it a perfect cichlid for a 75-gallon, 90-gallon, 125, etc. A lot of fish keepers love the thread fin acara, and for good reason, because it's a really popular active cichlid and it's really beautiful. So another fish that is popular in Brazil is the red-tailed barracuda. This is a predatory cheracin that I really want to get my hands on. I have yet to ever find one locally, but if I ever get red-tailed barracuda, I would want to get at least 3 or 4 of them because they are a schooling fish and they deserved to be kept in a school. From my understanding, the red-tailed barracuda can grow to about 10 inches, so they would require a 180, a 220, etc. But they are a cool predatory cheracin, and they would love to eat ghost shrimp and guppies, but could probably bring them onto dead food as well, which is really nice. And also in Brazil, there are other types of freshwater barracuda, like the yellowtail barracuda. And no, the barracudas that come from South America and freshwater waters, they are not true barracudas. Rather, they are cheracins, but they are really unique and awesome cheracins. So speaking of a unique cheracin, we're going to talk about a pacu that is not monstrous. It does not grow to feet, rather it grows to inches. And it's kind of a rarity in the aquarium hobby, but it's a nice pacu. Nonetheless, it's one that I want to keep if I ever can find them. And that is the sheep pacu, also known as the tiger pacu. The sheep pacu is found all throughout Brazil, and from time to time, it seasonally gets imported into the aquarium hobby. I have seen places like Tangled Up in Cichlids, Aqua Imports, and other online fish stores get them. So they do come into the aquarium hobby quite frequently, but I haven't been able to track one down locally, but I think I will get one to go with my wide bar silver dollars in the 125. These guys are very nice looking. They grow to be about 6 to 9 inches. The only thing about the sheep pacu is that they can be fin nippy, but you can work around that by providing them a steady diet consisting of tilapia and market shrimp. Really, really nice fish. I really don't know much about care because I've never kept the sheep pacu, but I know it's found all throughout Brazil. So the next species of fish we're going to talk about is a cichlid that comes from Brazil. It's actually an acara, and I've only seen this fish once in person. and I turned down the chance to get them, but now I regret that because it's a very beautiful cichlid, and that is the Royal Acara. The Royal Acara, also known as Aquidens diadema or the Diadema Acara, comes from Brazil. It's one of the cichlids that is infamous from Brazil, and that is the Royal Acara. Now, it's similar to the threadfin acara and the blue acara and even the port cichlid. I assume the Royal Acara would probably grow to 6 to 8 inches in length. Very, very nice cichlid. Probably semi-aggressive, more on the docile side, but a really nice cichlid from Brazil. Now, Brazil is home to many dwarf cichlids. And one particular species of dwarf cichlid that you'll find in Brazil is known as the apistogramma. A lot of fish keepers love apistogrammas, and for good reason. They have a lot of great coloration. One of the apistogramma species you'll find in Brazil is known as Apistogramma agassizii. And the image that's on the screen is an image of what a Apistogramma agassizii looks like. Now, apistogrammas stay small. Most of them max out at 2 inches or 3 inches, so they can be kept in a 20-gallon long, 20-gallon tall. They can be kept in a 29, 40-gallon breeder, and even larger community tanks with other smaller fish. Apistogrammas are really cool fish, and they're found all throughout South America. But there are a lot of species that call Brazil home. There's also Apistogramma beryli, and my all-time favorite apistogramma, and that's this guy. That's Apistogramma cacatoides. A really nice apistogramma, very, very colorful, and well loved and well respected in the aquarium hobby because it has a lot of great coloration, and it's just an overall beautiful dwarf cichlid. All right, so the next fish that comes from Brazil is a very popular oddball fish and a very popular knife fish, and it is found in Brazil, and that is the black ghost knife fish. Now, I've kept a couple of black ghost knife fish over the years, and I really enjoy the black ghost knife fish. The black ghost knife can grow to be about 12 to 18 inches in length, and it's a really cool fish. They do spend a lot of their time hiding. They are a nocturnal species, but they will come out during the day when you feed them. They're a really cool knife. I definitely want to get one again someday. They're more peaceful than the clown knife, and they can live with other fish. Black ghost knives come from Brazil. The next species of fish that comes from Brazil is known as a pike cheracin. There is the striped pike cheracin, and there is the spotted pike cheracin. Now, these guys are really cool tetras, but you have to keep them in a school. I learned that the hard way. I bought one, and he stressed out to the max. He killed himself from being stressed out. So if you want to keep the spotted or striped pike cheracins that come from Brazil, keep them in schools in order for them to be happy. They thrive in schools of at least 3 or 4. They grow to be about 8 to 9 inches in length, and they're a very cool cheracin. Are we ready to learn about catfish that come from Brazil? Let's talk about my all-time dream catfish. Most people would assume it's a tigrinus. Well, tigrinus is a dream catfish of mine, but this one is my first dream catfish, and it happens to call Brazil home. And that is the Durant's catfish, also known as the false tigrinus. The Durant's cat can grow up to 24 inches in length, So it can grow to be about 2 feet to sometimes even 2.5 feet. Now, I have spent a majority of my aquarium hobby trying to track down a drenched catfish, but I haven't been successful. The one time I got one, it died a week later. That could have been my mistake, or it could have just been from being imported. I didn't quarantine him. But now I'm prepared to get a Durant. I think it would do great in my big display tank over there. Very nice catfish. These are found in Brazil, and the ones that get imported into the aquarium hobby do come from Brazil. So, really cool catfish, the Durant cat, also known as the false tigrinus. Another catfish that comes from Brazil, and my buddy Bob at Aquatic Rarities Malone's Monsters often gets the slobbering catfish. A really unique looking catfish. It's related to the Paraiba, it's related to the Tigrinus, and it's related to the Durant cat that I just talked about. Now, I had a slobbering cat, and he was doing well. I think it was a year ago. I had a slobbering cat, but unfortunately, I had a couple of festivums, and they were being fin nippy, and they were nipping at his whiskers and his fins, and they ultimately killed him, sadly. I even traded in the festivums, but it was too late. And again, the slobbering cat is another catfish that I'd like to watch grow up and watch keep. They come from Brazil. Aquarium fishermen will actually wait till lights out, or in other words, until it's nighttime, and they'll go and catch these guys for the aquarium hobby. And fish stores like Aquatic Rarities and other South American fish stores online, they'll get the slobbering cat and they'll sell them. Really cool, rare catfish that comes from Brazil. It can grow to be about 18 inches, a little bit larger, but overall, a really cool catfish that comes from Brazil. The next catfish that I'm going to talk about that comes from Brazil is a brocious species. Now, over the last couple episodes of Life in the Amazon, I've talked about brocious species, mostly the hognose brocious. But the brocious that comes from Brazil is known as the brocious britsky, and it looks like a regular cory. This is the brocious britsky, very nice brocious cat. It'll grow to be about 3.5 to 4 inches, just like most other brocious. Very, very cool fish. Just not as common as the hognose brocious or the other brocious that are imported into the aquarium hobby. So the next fish I'm going to talk about that comes from Brazil, I don't have an image of because, like I said, StreamYard gives me a limit of how many images I can upload. But there are plenty of this species in Brazil, and that is Biricon. Biricon are like Dorados. They're a very large growing charasin. They're very active. They're very fast swimmers, and they can be aggressive in the aquarium hobby. Biricon will eat nuts that fall in the Amazon River, and you'll find many species of Biricon in Brazil. Some are imported into the aquarium hobby, like the red-tailed Biricon, but others, unless you're going to Tangled Up in Cichlids, where they import South American fish, sometimes you won't find Biricon, or how we pronounce it, but sometimes they're a specialty at fish stores. All right, so the next Brazilian fish we're going to talk about is a really popular community fish in the aquarium hobby, and that is the marbled hatchetfish. The marbled hatchetfish is really cool. It grows to about 2.5 to 3 inches. It's an active, top-dwelling schooling fish, so it's kind of like a dwarf arowana, and you can have multiple of them in your aquarium. Very, very cool hatchetfish. I got to get a school of hatchetfish for my aquarium. I think they'd be cool to have some hatchetfish in my tank. They're pretty cool fish. There's also the black wing hatchetfish that lives in Brazil, the dwarf hatchetfish, and there are plenty of other hatchetfish that live in Brazil. One of my favorite piranha species that lives in Brazil is the wimple piranha. Now, the wimple piranha is a scale eater. It's also a fin nipper and a fin eater. So it's like a parasitic piranha, but it's also a very beautiful fish. And they're found all throughout Brazil. They're very popular in the aquarium hobby. Some people will buy them from online retailers and local fish stores where piranhas are legal. Sometimes they can be kept successfully with other fish. I know Kevin at Tangled Up in Cichlids and Jeff Rapps have successfully kept them with other fish. So the wimple piranha is a piranha species that comes from Brazil. And again, there are numerous piranha species that come from Brazil. There's the black rhombus piranha. There's the elongatus piranha. Multiple piranha species come from Brazil. And the wimple piranha is one of my favorites. The next two fish that come from Brazil are also cherisins. And we've got the Tuscan fish, or the yellowtail cherisin, or the yellowfin chalceus. That's what its name is, sorry. Not yellowfin cherisin, yellowfin chalceus, also known as the toucan fish. This is a species of chalceus that comes from Brazil, and it's known as the yellow fin. It can grow 8 to 9 inches in length. Hair is pretty similar to the common pink-tail chalceus. And then we've got the spotted headstander, a really cool cherisin from Brazil, very similar to flagtail procholotus and leperinus. Instead, it's a headstander, and it'll grow about 5 to 6 inches in length. Very, very cool fish. Well, one of the monster fish species that is really popular in Brazil, it's actually a sport fish from Brazil, and that is the peacock bass. My favorite peacock bass that lives in Brazil is the Cicla temensis, or the Temensis peacock bass. But also found in Brazil, you will find Cicla kelveri, Cicla orinoco, Cicla pinama, Cicla temensis, and many other different species of peacock bass. And as we all know, many different species of peacock bass reach different sizes, but mainly they'll get over 2 feet. Some will stay a little smaller than 2 feet, but there are large growing fish that require large tanks, and they have ferocious appetites. Now, we all know that South America and the Amazon River has the Amazon puffer, a friendly little community puffer. Well, Brazil is home to this puffer, kind of a large growing puffer. It is known as the banded puffer. Now, this puffer can live in fresh water. However, it is mostly found in brackish water in Brazil, but it does spend a fair amount of time in fresh water. It lives in estuaries near where bull sharks can be found in Brazil. Although sightings of bull sharks in the Amazon River have drastically gone down, which could be a good thing because they'll prey on some of the more popular aquarium fish. But these are really cool puffers that call Brazil home. They get to be about 7 to 8 inches, much larger than the Amazon community puffer. Another monster fish. A lot of people are going to be familiar with this one. It lives in Brazil. It is called the tambaqui, or simply the black pacu. One of my favorite pacu species. I've only kept the species once or twice, and I refuse to keep them again because I respect this fish. I feel like this fish belongs in the wild unless you have a pond or a large setup like Ohio Fish Rescue. Even still, I feel like this fish belongs in the wild because it has A, unlimited space. It can travel as long as it wants and swim as far as it wants. And B, it has a specialized diet. It needs nuts in order to survive. So the tambaqui black pacu, a fish that comes from Brazil, but I feel it really belongs in the wild. And I really love the black pacu. Pacus are one of my favorite fish. They're a very intelligent animal, very smart fish. But I don't think the black pacu belong in the aquarium hobby unless you have a massive pond or aquarium. So we're going to go back to some catfish species that call Brazil home. And we're going to talk about two different types of Corydoras that call Brazil home. We've got Corydoras adolphi, very nice cory cat you'll find in Brazil. These are quite rare in the aquarium hobby, and they can cost a little bit of money, but they're very nice. Also in Brazil, you've got the July cory. These are really popular Corydoras in the aquarium hobby, and you'll often find them at Petco and PetSmart and your local fish store. Very cool cats that come from Brazil. Another catfish that you'll find in Brazil is the flagtail porthole catfish, and you'll also find the porthole catfish from Brazil as well. These are medium growing catfish that do well in schools. All right. Well, South America is home to pike cichlids. Crentia cicla are some of my favorite cichlids. In Brazil, you will find the Crentia cicla cincta, also known as the green tiger pike. Now, this image is of a cincta pike that I owned, but I owned a cincta pike from Peru. So maybe the Brazilian cincta pike looks a little bit different than this one. Now here is my all-time favorite pike. It's a dream pike that I want to own because it resembles a snakehead, at least in my opinion, and that is Crenchicicla lenticulata. The lenticulata pike does look like a snakehead in my opinion, at least the ones that I grew up watching my dad keep. Back when I was growing up in 1993, 1994, 1995, snakeheads were legal here in the United States of America, and I think it was called the red line snakehead that most fish stores sold. So the Crintosicla lenticulata kind of looks like a red lined snakehead, which is why it's one of my favorite pike cichlids. And I think the Crintosicla lenticulata kind of looks like a snakehead, and it comes from Brazil. But it's a very aggressive pike cichlid. It can grow up to 14 inches, but a really cool predatory fish to add to a predatory aquarium. Did you know that South America, and more specifically Brazil, is home to some freshwater gobies? That's right. Brazil has freshwater gobies, and it has this species that is known as the jade sleeper goby. Jade gobies, one of my all-time favorite freshwater gobies, and they're a favorite fish of mine. They can grow to 10 inches in length, sometimes even more. Really nice oddball fish to have in a cichlid or a monster aquarium. Really cool fish. Now, a tetra that's kind of like piranhas you'll find in Brazil is the Exodon tetra, also known as the bucktooth tetra. It's a schooling species of tetra that stays a little smaller, about 3 or 4 inches, and they're very carnivorous. They'll eat small fish, they'll nip at the fins of fish and eat their scales. So they're kind of like a parasitic charasin, like the wimple piranha, but they are still a unique fish. Another cool charasin from Brazil is the firehead tetra, also known as the rummy nose tetra, very cool chericin. And then there's the hemiotis tetra that comes from Brazil. Never kept them before, but they're a very, very nice chericin. I'd love to keep a school of them. So let's talk about some more cichlids that come from Brazil. Up first, it's a species of Geophagus that is one of my favorites. And its common name and scientific name give a clue to where they're from. It is known as Geophagus brassinilis. That's right, the Geophagus brassinilis lives in Brazil. Now, this is a more aggressive Geophagus. It's one of the more aggressive earth eaters out there from South America, but that's okay. Because in my opinion, this Geophagus looks like a mixture of a blue terror, and I call it a blue terror because it kind of looks like a blue version of a green terror, and it also looks like a Jack Dempsey, but it comes from South America. Very, very cool earth eater. And Brazil is home to the authentic and the real Geophagus ceramicis. Very, very cool earth eater that comes from Brazil. Another earth eater known as the bandit cichlid. It's also known as the gunacara. That comes from Brazil as well. It's known as gunacara guy or the bandit cichlid. It's a cichlid I've never kept from Brazil, but I would love to keep them because they are a interesting looking cichlid and they look very, very colorful. And then we've got my favorite Severum species from Brazil. That is the spotted Severum. It's known as the Rio Negro Severum or Heroes Nodus. The spotted Severum is a very gorgeous species of Severum, very colorful, and it looks phenomenal. I think it's one of the best looking Severums out there. And then we've got the true parrot cichlid. Now, when I talk about the true parrot cichlid, I'm not talking about the hybrid between a red devil and a Severum. I'm talking about a real parrot cichlid that actually lives in Brazil and South America, and that is this. It is a true parrot cichlid. I don't know how to pronounce the scientific name, so I'm not even going to try. But it's a real beautiful cichlid that can grow up to a foot in length. It's semi-aggressive, so it can be kept with osprey, Severums, Geophagus, chocolate cichlids, etc. I've never had them before, but I definitely would love to keep them. They're a very colorful fish, and as you can see, a very beautiful cichlid from Brazil. Up next, we have a tiger knife. Another knife fish that comes from Brazil, kind of rare in the aquarium hobby, but it does get imported from time to time. So let's take a look at some of the live comments on our show today. Mad Cypress is in the house. Thank you, Mad Cypress, for tuning in. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. And he says, great show tonight. Thank you, Mad Cypress. I love hosting Life in the Amazon, and I love talking about fish that live in the Amazon. So thank you, Mad Cypress, for being a part of the show. All right. Another species of fish that comes from Brazil, one of my personal favorite predatory chericins, Hapalis wolffish. Now, the wolffish that's on the screen is a black wolffish, also known as Hapalis curupira. Now, the black wolffish can be found in Brazil. You'll also find the Malabaricus wolffish in Brazil and some other species of wolffish called Brazil home, like the gold wolffish and the purple wolffish. Those are all wolffish that live in Brazil. Then you've got the Payara. There is the red-tailed Payara that lives in Brazil and the Armatus pariah that lives in Brazil. Then there's an oddball fish that calls Brazil home. It's the South American lungfish. There's the African lungfish, the Australian lungfish, and then there is the South American lungfish that is equally as nice. Jaguar catfish come from Brazil. They are very beautiful. Then we've got the spotted silver dollar, very, very nice silver dollar species. Orange belly with some spots. And perhaps my favorite silver dollar from Brazil, Mylius micans, which comes from the São Francisco region of Brazil. It looks like a pacu, but it also looks like a red hook. Very, very cool fish. And then there is the black bar silver dollar that comes from Brazil. And Brazil is known for the thin bar variant of the black bar silver dollar. Very, very cool fish. Now, Brazil also has silver arowanas, but the more popular arowana from Brazil is the black arowana. And this is a really cool arowana. It is one of my dream arowanas. For as long as I've been in the aquarium hobby, I have yet to keep a black arowana, and I really want to. They grow to a similar size as the silver arowana, but they're a little bit less bulky. I guess you could say they're a little bit more thinner, but they're very colorful. They have a darker color. They have orange fins and a very, very nice arowana. And there is a species of catfish from Brazil that really interests me, and I really want to keep it one day. Its common name is the flat whisker catfish. And this is an image of it. Its scientific name starts with a P and ends with a P, but I can't pronounce it. But the flat whiskered catfish comes from Brazil. It's a large growing catfish. It can easily reach 2 feet and sometimes more. And it's a popular gaming catfish. A lot of people try to fish for these guys in Brazil. The long-nosed angelfish, or the Lapaldi angelfish, comes from Brazil. This is a really unorthodox and unique-looking angelfish that comes from comes from Brazil. It comes from Brazil. And I want to get my hands on the long-nosed Lapaldi angel because they're a unique angel that I have yet to keep. It is one of 3 Petrophyllum species. Of course, there's Petrophyllum scalar, Petrophyllum altum, and now Petrophyllum Lapaldi. I want to get my hands on them. Also from Brazil is the sailfin pleco, the Gibby pleco, one of my all-time favorite plecos. It's a very colorful pleco. It's an algae eater. It grows to be about 18 inches, which is a lot smaller than the common pleco. And the last fish we're going to talk about that comes from Brazil, the waru cichlid, which is often called the poor man's discus. It's a brown cichlid that's also known as the triangular cichlid. You'll find them in Brazil. Very, very colorful cichlid. So that was a lot of fish species for me to talk about. And again, there are over 3,000 freshwater fish species that call Brazil home. So now we're going to take a quick intermission. This intermission is being brought to you by my friends at Little Egypt Aquarium Club, which is owned and operated by Jeremy Stellhorn. And it's also brought to us by Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida. When I come back from intermission, I'm going to create 3 Brazilian biotopes: the community biotope, the semi-aggressive biotope, and the monster biotope. So when I come back, we're going to continue discussing Brazil, and I'm going to create some Brazilian biotopes. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. It's time for our quick intermission from our fish-keeping friends.
Are you a tropical fish keeper living in South Florida? You need to check out Aquatic and Exotic in Stuart, Florida. Aquatic and Exotic is home to quality freshwater and saltwater tropical fish. You will find African cichlids, South and Central American cichlids, goldfish and koi, and exotic fish. We also supply aquarium supplies like filters and heaters, aquariums, and lights. We also have quality fish food brands. Aquatic and Exotic is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Sunday 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Questions? Give us a call at 772-781-4046. Stop on by and check us out. 1525 SC Lockhart Street, Stuart, Florida 34994.
Aqua Alex here, and I'm proud to partner with Little Egypt Aquarium Club. Little Egypt Aquarium Club was founded by my friend Jeremy Stellhorn. Little Egypt Aquarium Club provides aquarium hobbyists with quality aquarium supplies. You will find sponge filters, pleco caves, and so much more. Little Egypt Aquarium Club also has quality fish foods. You'll find things like rapashi. Rapashi is a name brand fish food, perfect for placostomus, community fish, and even monster fish. You'll find medicated fish foods as well. Aqua Alex and Jeremy Stellhorn are teaming up to save you some money. If you use my discount code, which is Alex, you will get 10% off your order. So go to littleegyptaquariumclub.com right now, place an order, and use coupon code Alex, and you will save 10% on your order. Now back to the fish chat. Hey, fish keepers, it's your boy Aqua Alex Cardinelli here, inviting you to be a part of the fun. I'm inviting you to the September 2022 Fish Keepers Q&A, which airs live Wednesday, September 28th, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinelli. I, Aqua Alex, look forward to answering all of your tropical fish keeping questions, whether they are freshwater or saltwater. So, do you have fish keeping questions you want me to answer? Email all fish keeping questions, whether they're freshwater or saltwater, to alexgoyankiescardinelli19@gmail.com. I will answer your questions on the show. Do you want to show off your gorgeous fish? Do you want to show off your gorgeous aquarium? Did you get a new fish that you want to show off? Well, email videos and photos of your fish and your aquariums that you want to show off, and I will show it off in the Fish Keepers Show Off. So email videos and photos of your fish to alexgoyankiescardinelli19@gmail.com. I have some fun fish keeping topics planned for this month's edition of Fish Keepers Q&A. This month, I'm going to talk about the top 10 Earth Eater cichlids. Earth Eater cichlids are the gorgeous geophagus that come from South America. So this month, I'm going to talk about some of the most gorgeous geophagus out there, and I'm going to talk about the top 10 Earth Eater cichlids. And I'll answer the question, would I ever consider keeping African cichlids? Those are the two topics that I will discuss on Wednesday, September 28th, on this month's edition of Fish Keepers Q&A. So mark your calendars. This month's Fish Keepers Q&A is rapidly approaching. It airs live Wednesday, September 28th, 2022, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, right here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinelli. Get those fish keeping questions in and get those fish videos in right now. Alex Go Yankees Cardinelli 19 at gmail.com. And I will see you on September 28th. But for now, back to the fish chat. Welcome back to Life in the Amazon with me, Aqua Alex Cardinelli. Today we are taking a trip to Brazil, and we've talked about some information on Brazil, and we talked about the freshwater fish species that live in Brazil. Now it's time to create some Brazilian biotopes. And we're going to get started right now by creating some Brazilian biotopes. And we're going to start with my community aquarium biotope. Now, a community aquarium simply means fish from the same region get along. So here is what I would have in my Brazilian community biotope. One of the starfish of my biotope would be waru cichlids. I love waru, and in my community aquarium biotope, I'd have 3 or 4 warus. I would also have Lapaldi angelfish, also known as the long-nosed angelfish. I'd have 4 or 5 of them. They would make a nice community tank fish. And then I would have some marbled headstanders as one of the cherisins of my community aquarium, one of the medium growing cherisins for my community biotope. The marbled headstander, very, very cool cherisin to have in a community biotope. I would also have some banjo catfish, very cool catfish from Brazil in my community biotope. I would have some of the firehead or rummy nose tetras in my biotope, my community biotope. I think they would do great in there. Very pretty fish. I'd also have some Odolphi corridoris and also the Julii corridoris in my community biotope. I'd also have the Brocius britsky in my community biotope. I would have some of the beautiful apistogrammas in my community biotope, whatever one I could get my hands on. And then I would have lemon tetras and black neon tetras in my community biotope. So that would be my Brazilian community biotope. Now I'm going to talk to you about my Brazilian semi-aggressive biotope. And this one, I came up with the idea when I was live on the air. So this came up to me spontaneously when I was talking about Wimple piranha and Exodon tetras. I said, you know what would be a cool aquarium if you combined Wimple piranhas with Exodon tetras. So I said my semi-aggressive aquarium would be a school of Wimple piranha, maybe 10 of them, and then a school of bucktooth tetras, aka the Exodon tetras. They're a very cool fish. Both species are fin nippers, but I think they would nip each other. I mean, the Wimple piranha would nip other Wimples, and the Exodon tetras would whip other Exodon tetras. Very, very cool fish. And also, I would try keeping a sheep pacu in with them. I think they would do okay together. Very, very cool fish nonetheless. And the final biotope for this episode of Life in the Amazon, my Brazilian monster aquarium biotope. Now for this aquarium, I would have a slobbering catfish, a very nice catfish from Brazil. I would love to grow one of them out. I would also have a Durant's catfish. I love the Durant's cat, very nice fish. I'd have some 4-line pictus, which also come from Brazil, the Blotchi the Blotchi pimelotus. I'd have a spotted severum, the Rio Negro severum, Heros natus, in my community aquarium. I'd also have a jade goby, which is a cool oddball fish that comes from Brazil. I would have a South American lungfish in my monster Brazilian biotope aquarium. I'd have some Finbar silver dollars. I'd have some Mylius mickens in my monster biotope aquarium from Brazil. I'd have a Cincta pike. Of course, I'd have some Temensis peacock bass, which are very, very nice. I, of course, would have a black wolfish. And this picture is of my current wolfish that I'm growing out. And he's putting on some great size. I'd also have a Gibby pleco and some other cool monsters like the Lapaldi stingray. So very, very cool fish from Brazil. All right, that's all I have for you on this episode of Life in the Amazon. Man, I had a great time. I talked about a lot of fish species from Brazil. Matter of fact, I talked so much that I'm kind of losing my voice. But it was a great time. I am honored and privileged to share all the fish species that live in Brazil with you and create these amazing Brazilian biotopes. I want to thank everyone that watched this video. Whether you watched it live or you caught the replay of this video, thank you for your view and thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Please share this video on social media so all other South American fish lovers can see it. I'm Aqua Alex, and you've been watching Life in the Amazon, a series by Aquatic Wetline here on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinelli. On the next episode of Life in the Amazon, we are going to talk about Colombia and fish species that live in Colombia, and we're going to create Colombian biotopes. That's on the next episode of Life in the Amazon. Next Wednesday, another special fish keeping episode. Next Wednesday is the Fish Keepers Q&A for the month of September. So make sure to email your questions now. I look forward to answering your questions next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Fish Keepers, if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. The legendary Alex Cardinelli. Thank you, Fish Keepers, for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, feed your fish quality fish food and do plenty of water changes. Now maybe you know that one of the fish you have in your aquarium comes from Brazil. I'm Aqua Alex, and happy fish keeping, everybody.